Hey, what's going on? Dr. Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast, and today we're talking about making decisions and the three choices you have if you are thinking about making the leap to starting your own practice. So this week I have been diving deep into conversations that our advisor team has had with potential clients at PT Biz. So when people are interested in working with us, we always want to do a one-on-one call. Number one is to see, is there alignment with what you're trying to do and with what we do? The last thing we want to do is work with the wrong person, whether it be, the wrong business model, or frankly, sometimes it's just the wrong fit as far as personality goes. And we've learned that, over the last 6 years, working with the number of people that we have, who we really do a good job with, and who we don't work as well with, especially when it comes to like different business model variations that just don't fit. So I review a lot of these, and this week I spent a few hours just reviewing some of the advisory calls, just quality assurance, just making sure we're having the right conversations and helping people get clarity on the right things. Because the whole point of it is we want to see where are you at, what are you trying to do, help clarify what your next steps in business are, and then if it makes sense for us to help you get there, then we can talk to you about what that looks like. And if it doesn't, then cool, you have a really clear idea of what your next steps are in business. So it should be an incredibly valuable call no matter what. So I review a lot of these, and this week, a lot of the calls that I reviewed were people that are they're thinking about starting a clinic, right? And this is a subset of people that we work with that are appropriate for our Rainmaker program in particular. So Rainmaker program is where we help people start and really get their business up to the point where they can leave their full-time job to go all in on their practice. And it's usually for people who just started. And oftentimes people just started and realized, wow, this shit is a lot harder than I thought. And then now they want to get some support. But sometimes we get people that they don't have to figure out the hard way, and they want to talk to us about what it would look like to get some help from the get-go. So there's something I noticed, and this is something that is common at this stage that is a struggle that people have. It's the best way I can describe it is if you've ever gotten sick and had to throw up, there's this terrible feeling where you're going to puke. And you don't want to puke because it's uncomfortable. But it's going to happen. And once it does, you feel much better. Much better. But the anticipation of it and the actual act of it sucks. And in a lot of ways, this is like making a decision to do anything meaningful as far as a change in your life, but in particular, starting a business. Because you have all of this pre-planning knowledge gain periods where you're absorbing a lot of information, just like this podcast, for instance. Maybe it's my book, maybe it's just other variations of resources that are out there from different people, talking to people, and you're gathering information. You're trying to decide what the right decision is for you. And then you actually have to make the decision, right? And that is in many cases the hardest part. Gathering information is, some people like that. They feel like they're getting something accomplished just by listening to 500 podcasts, but they're not. You're pacifying yourself. You get a little dopamine hit because you learned something, but you didn't actually implement anything. Nothing changed, right? Your life didn't change. If nothing changes is something we say a lot. So, when I listen to these, there's three clear choices that people have, and I'm going to lay these out for you because if you're struggling with this decision, and I struggle with this decision too, don't get me wrong. When I started my clinic, I had to give up a career in the military. I had a proven track record there. I was doing well. High likelihood of, promotions and taking jobs that I really thought would be meaningful and enjoyable. And I left the military to open a clinic, in Atlanta. And it wasn't without significant struggle mentally of whether I was doing the right thing or not. And I think it's normal for you to do that. If you just jump ship and you don't think about it, that'd be crazy. I don't think anybody does that. So these are the three choices that I see and the themes that I see from these calls. And I'll share them with you, and you can decide which one you fit into. And hopefully maybe this helps you make a decision, because when you really think about what you're trying to do, it's either you're trying to create a better life for yourself going forward, whether that be more meaning in what you're doing, more control over what you're doing, more financial freedom, time freedom, the ability to be creative and actually use your skill set the way that you want, or maybe build a different model of a clinic the way that you want. That was like big for me. I wanted to work with people a different way that I could not do in the setting I was in. It wasn't even the monetary side of things. And for a lot of people, that's actually it in our profession. Like, we didn't sign up to be physical therapists because we thought we were going to make $300,000 a year. That wasn't even part of the decision. We did it because we thought we'd make pretty good income and we'd have a really cool job, and if you're stuck in a like high volume setting, or you're a hospital clinic or you're just seeing nothing but like work comp, personal injuries, and you're asking yourself, damn, is this where did I end up where I thought I was going to end up? Maybe not, right? And that's where it feels like you got the rug pulled out from underneath you. So you have to make a decision. And the three paths that people can take at this point are basically this. You can leave it where it's at with kind of, stay in the status quo of what you have. You can do solo implementation, or you could do guided support. And I'll go through these three and what, the fit might be for each person. But choice one is acceptance, status quo. For some of you, you have no business whatsoever starting a clinic. It is not a good decision for you. It's hard. There's nothing guaranteed. It's very stressful. If you struggle with dealing with change and the unknown, very hard for you. Very, very hard for you. If you're incredibly introverted, we find that those people have a very hard time, breaking out of their shell and going and being able to build a business that's based off of, local service businesses have a lot to do with your ability to be involved locally. That means be around other people. So it very well might not be the right business for you. There may be other variations of things you can do. But as far as this goes, what I'm talking about, a cash-based physical therapy clinic in the field, staying in the field, it may not be the right fit for you. Maybe it's just not the right time because of other priorities that you have. Maybe you're very responsible for other people. You cannot take a time and take a swing on yourself because you can't afford to be wrong. Not everybody has the same circumstances, and we have to appreciate that as well. And other people are even with circumstances that are not necessarily ideal, they're still willing to do it because they have this strong desire to start their own clinic, to do their own thing, and they feel very strongly that that's the right path for them. But not everybody is there, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want that to be something that people understand as well. I actually think being able to have a great job and being able to help people in a meaningful way with your skill set is fantastic. And if you're going to stay in the profession and stay clinically doing what you're doing, you need to accept that this is what your career is. And in order to be happy and not miserable, you can't just be focusing on what these other opportunities are or what other people are doing. This idea of like the grass is always greener kind of concept is a great way to be miserable. And we probably, you probably all know people like this. And no matter what, they always are like, oh, but what about this? Or what about this? Or what if you could do this? Or I wish that this happened to me or whatever. Like, they're unhappy because of the perception of things being better somewhere else. Now, I think that it is a noble career path to be a physical therapist. And if you can find a job that better aligns with what you want, like for me, if I could have been hired at a cash-based physical therapy clinic where I could have worked one-on-one with patients and I had the ability to replace my income and maybe even make a little bit more, I probably wouldn't have started a clinic. It would have been a fit for me because I just wanted to treat people the way that I wanted to work with them. Nothing existed like that, so I had to create something. But if you really love your clinical, ability to work with people, if you really love the time to educate, you love having that relationship with people, you really want to focus on a specific niche, then your best bet, it might just be accept that you're a clinician, accept that you're going to be an employed clinician and be an amazing clinician. And this is where you have to, it's not acceptance that your life isn't going to be what you want it to be. It's acceptance that You get to participate in one of the most rewarding careers that I've ever seen. You get to help people live life in a meaningful way with their vehicles in life. Like, you get to do that. And instead of, I have to go see these patients, like, you get to go see these patients. And what you need to do is double down on being world-class at what you do, improving your skill set constantly, improving the skill sets of the people around you, being somebody that's striving to be the best clinician they possibly can be, because there is happiness in the pursuit of excellence. That is how you become content. To be miserable is to constantly look at other people and wish that you were doing what they were doing. And for, honestly, a chunk of the people we talk to, the advice is, this doesn't sound like something that you really want to do. This sounds like something that you think you might want to do, but this is really hard, and you have to be all in. Because if you dip a toe in the water over here, it's not going to work. Like, you have to literally go and commit to learning how to be a business owner, to learning how to do these very difficult things to establish, a clinic and grow it. And man, if you want to even grow it past yourself, it's even more difficult, right? So if you're not fully committed to that, accept the fact that you have a fantastic job that's incredibly personally rewarding, that you make good income at, and that you get to change people's lives and be a pillar in the community. What a great thing. It's not like you're digging ditches all day long, and in this miserable, low-paid manual labor job. Like, you have a fantastic career. Accept it. Be happy about that, and focus on excellence in your career. That is the first pool of people. The second pool of people, these are people that are that they know they want to start, but they don't know if they want to try to figure it out by themselves or get some help. So these are what we call solo implementation, clients. These are people that want to go about it on their own. This is what I did. And mostly because there wasn't anybody to help. Nothing existed. I probably wouldn't have done it anyway, to be honest with you. I don't think that I would have started out and said, yep, I'm going to get a mentor to teach me this. Mostly because I didn't have any money, and I was quite arrogant about my abilities. I felt very good about my clinical skills. I felt very good about my ability to, get people to come and work with me. I tested the waters a little bit in Columbus when I was there at a CrossFit gym, and I had patients that were coming in, on a fairly regular basis before we moved to Atlanta. So I had this confidence that I had built, which I would consider actually more arrogance, and I just went for it. And books and podcasts, and really there weren't a lot of podcasts about this, but mostly reading books about business and listening to business podcasts. I try to piece together how to start a business, how to run a business. And it's a lot of trial and error, to be honest with you. It's a ton of trial and error. And I can tell you one other reason why I did it this way is because I wanted to be able to tell people that I didn't get any help from anybody. That was really important for me. And frankly, stupid at the same time, because I had this belief that if let's say I paid for like a coach or a mentorship group or something, it diluted the outcome that I was able to get. Like, that, it was like cheating. It was like getting help. And I just viewed that as a negative thing. And I viewed it that way until I got to a point where I realized I'd been kind of lucky. I didn't know what I was doing. And we had put ourselves in a position where I was able to replace my income. And then we really, really floundered when we tried to grow past ourselves in particular. We had very aggressive goals. And as soon as we went to go higher in scale, and it was like, oh my God, this got real fast. We lost a bunch of money in the process, far more than it would have cost me to get somebody to help me on the business side and help teach me how to be a business owner. And, it was lessons learned through trial and error and a lot of expensive mistakes. But for some of you, you may feel like I did. And I don't think anybody can change that about you. I don't think that one day you're going to wake up and say, yeah, I do need some help. Like, you have to learn that the hard way, the way I did. I don't think anybody could have told me that. In fact, if you had told me that, it would have made me even more motivated to prove to you that I didn't need help, because I was, that was my mindset at the time, right? I just had this chip on my shoulder that I had to prove people wrong. And that will actually make you work really hard. And there's a lot of fuel that comes from that. But at the same time, it's not exactly the best way to go about it. So the third choice, which coincides with this, is deciding if you want to get what we call guided support, right? Or to get help. And this guided support, to me, is akin to school. You could teach yourself about the body. You could teach yourself about, assessing injuries. You could teach yourself about manual therapy. Teach yourself basically whatever you want at this point. But does that mean that you are going to get as good of an outcome as you would if you went to a school that had knowledgeable teachers and mentorship, set you up with clinical rotations? I don't think there's any way you would become as good of a physical therapist if you try to figure it out by yourself. I think that's a pretty obvious statement. Even once you get out of school, there's a big difference that I've noticed between people that have gone through residency, fellowship programs, they've invested in ongoing continuing education, and those that just do the bare minimum for Con Ed and they just check the box by doing some online courses. If they're not diving into continuing to get better at their clinical skills. So on the business side, I think this is very similar to that. In fact, we view our courses as residencies and fellowships. Our clinical rainmaker is a residency. Our mastermind is a fellowship. It's a deeper dive into becoming a great business owner that happens to be a clinician. And mentorship from people who have already done what you're trying to do is incredibly valuable. Proven systems, frameworks of things, of how you think through things and how to make decisions and what's working, and sales and marketing and pricing and systems and finance and all the things that you maybe don't even know you don't know yet are the things that you're going to have to learn, and you can try to figure it out the wrong way or on your own. But typically it's going to be, it might be right, but it's going to be slow, and you might do it wrong a few times and then figure it out. And it's the speed at which you want to make a change that I think is really important. There's two decisions you have to make. Because if you want to try to figure it out on your own, many people can be successful with that. Completely successful, never ever have to get any sort of business help whatsoever. But they're going to make a lot more errors. It's going to cost them a lot more time and a lot more stress. And the outcome is less likely. With support from people who've already done what you're trying to do, I think if you're going to just go general business, you're going to go get an MBA, I think it's a waste of your time, to be honest. It's not specific to the business that you're trying to run. That's what we're trying to do, right? We want to have a successful cash-based physical therapy clinic that we can get to X, Y, and Z, whatever your goal is. Well, in that scenario, find people that have already done that have already proven that they can do that with other people, and then plug what they're doing into what you're doing and be coachable, right? Because if you can do that, it's almost like buying insurance for this, this entrepreneurial venture you've decided to go into. Your likelihood of success goes up. The speed at which that should happen is going to go down, meaning it's going to happen faster. And the mistakes you're going to make along the way will be reduced. There will still be some mistakes. You're still going to have plenty of stress and difficult things you're going to have to figure out. It will not be easy. I can promise you that, no matter whether you work with, people to support you or not. It's still very, very hard. And it's just a matter of whether you want higher certainty and a reduced amount of time, so a faster outcome and higher certainty, or figure it out by yourself, slower, less likelihood of the outcome happening, and and it's essentially more risky. And I didn't think of it this way, but if we're being honest, this business that you're starting is probably how you provide for your family. It's how I provide for mine. It's how I was providing for mine whenever I had a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old daughter, whenever I left the military and completely cut off, any financial income that I had to go and start this clinic. do you want to take a riskier path when it comes to providing for your family? Do you want to take a riskier path when it comes to being able to get groceries? Do you want to take a riskier path when it comes to being able to pay your rent? Like, I look back on what I did and I just would not do it the same way again. I would not go about it on my own. I mean, even if, because there wasn't any really options out there, like if I could have found one, I would have done it. Because the amount of stress I felt when it came to, God, am I going to be able to like generate enough revenue where I'm going to be able to provide for, my family? It was so stressful because I didn't know if I was doing the right things. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get enough volume. I was going to be able to generate enough money. I was going to, or was I wasting my time doing the wrong things? I had no idea. And that was the most stressful part of the whole thing. I didn't know what I didn't know. And certainty and insurance that the outcome is a higher likelihood for something that frankly provides for your family is probably a pretty fucking good idea, if I'm being honest with you. And if you want to be a arrogant young man like I was and try to prove people wrong at the expense of being able to pay rent, your student loans, and buy food for your kids, that shit is on you, just like it was on me. And I do not think it is the best path. And again, you may listen to me and say, I don't care what he says. I can figure it out, because that's probably what I would have said. But if I could go back and talk to myself, this is exactly what I would say. I would say, dude, you're being a dumbass. You're being dangerous with your financial future for yourself and your family. Why are you trying to figure this out all by yourself? It just is not worth it. But these are the three paths that we see. And you will fit into one of these three. So if you are on the verge here where you're like, about to puke, you're about to make the decision, you either accept and have gratitude for the fact that you have an amazing career and become world-class at that. Be the best person that you can possibly be at the niche that you work with, with the population that you want to work with and the outcomes that you want to get. Strive for excellence every single day, and you will be a happier person than just looking at what other people are doing and wondering if you should be doing that too. That's a fantastic way to be miserable. Be excellent. We need excellent clinicians that are, working in many different settings. If you are deciding that, yep, I'm doing it, I'm going to figure it out by myself, best of luck to you. I look forward to talking to you in about 6 to 12 months so that we can have a realistic conversation about if this is what you actually want to do, or have you learned enough lessons the hard way where you're ready to admit that you probably should find a better way of going about it. And number 3, getting some guided support, getting some help. If you're there, you are wise beyond your years, or you're lacking confidence maybe in that position. And what's funny is oftentimes you get people that they want the support, and we have to help build their confidence up through coaching because they're concerned about going out to a clinic to talk about, referring people their way, going out to do a networking event. This is a hard thing to do. I can't tell you people I've talked to that have just sat in their car at networking events and then just left and not gone in because they're nervous, right? Like this is where you need help. This is where you need coaching. But these are the 3 paths. You decide which one is appropriate for you. But just constantly gathering information, trying to make a decision, it is purgatory for your future. Don't do it. Decide on what to do. Take action. Be decisive. And take the next step.